Constance Baker Motley. You may not know her, but you should.
Constance Baker Motley is a giant in civil rights law. She was called the Civil Rights Queen in her time and was very well known, and yet Americans today know her far less than they should given her significance. She is one of those lawyers who made it possible for Americans to gather together, to attend schools together in the way that we're accustomed to today.
There is not a woman civil rights lawyer today in this country that doesn't owe a great debt to Constance Baker Motley. She literally broke the mold. She did it all. It kills me that so many people in this country don't know who was the person who opened the doors to segregated Southern universities. It was this woman.
She is inspiring. She was amazing. And I'm so glad that the Postal Service, through the stamp, will help generations of Americans come to know Constance Baker Motley.
Well, my mother was one of 9 children. Her parents were immigrants from Nevis in the West Indies. They came through Ellis Island with lots of other immigrants from around the world around 1907. And they settled in New Haven, Connecticut. And her father was the steward at the Skull and Bones Club at Yale, one of the secret societies.
She didn't have money to go to college, but she was very active in the community, and she gave a speech to a community center board about why a community center was not being used by the community, the Black community. And the philanthropist who built the center heard her and said to her, "Why aren't you in college?" And she very honestly said, "Because my parents cannot afford to send me to college." And she did tell him, "I want to be a lawyer." And he said, "I don't know about women being lawyers, but if that's what you want to be, I'll send you to college to be a lawyer, and I'll also send you to law school." And he did send her off to college. First, she went to Fisk University for 1 year, but when she crossed the Mason-Dixon line and had to leave her train car and be hustled to an all-Black train car was her first experience, and that was just beyond her comprehension. And living in a community where it was Negroes only and whites only was not something she could really put up with. So she only stayed at Fisk for a year, and then she transferred to NYU and finished quickly. She finished in 3 years, and then she went to Columbia Law School.
Well, my mother was a second-year law student at Columbia. She got a part-time job working at a little legal storefront known as the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and working for a young lawyer there named Thurgood Marshall.
She worked as a lawyer alongside Thurgood Marshall to change our country, to change our society by working on cases like Brown versus Board of Education, the 1954 case, which is one of the great cases of constitutional law that made it unconstitutional to segregate students by race in public schools.
It was really an apartheid country prior to that, where separate but equal had been endorsed by the Supreme Court in 1897, and it wasn't until 1954 that that was overturned. And then, even though segregation in schools was overturned, it had to be done, as the court said, with all deliberate speed. So cases had to be brought individually in every case in the South. And so she argued many important cases in that effort, the most important ones being, I would say, the case to admit James Meredith to the University of Mississippi, and then Charlene Hunter and Hamilton Holmes to the University of Georgia, and Harvey Gantt to Clemson College in South Carolina. Those were probably her most prominent cases, but there were hundreds of cases over the years.
She also was a path-breaking politician in the state of New York, where she was a New York State senator and ultimately Manhattan Borough president, where she had tremendous power over the budget of the city of New York and helped shape and improve New York City in ways that present generations are still profiting from. And then finally, in 1966, President Lyndon Baines Johnson, who of course was a friend of the civil rights movement, appointed Constance Baker Motley to the federal bench. She was the first Black woman to be appointed a federal judge.
I remember being at the federal courthouse where my mother was sworn in as the first woman judge in the Southern District of New York and the first Black woman federal judge in the whole country. And I remember a clip of my mother being asked by reporters how she was feeling about this new job. And she said with a straight face, "Oh, I'll have to work very hard to try to keep up with the men." And I think there are people who heard that and thought that she was serious when she said it, when obviously she wasn't serious at all. She had argued 10 cases in the Supreme Court as a lawyer. She won 9 of them. The case that she lost, the court reversed itself on 20 years later, thus perfecting her record of really 10-0, which is not bad for a Supreme Court advocate.
When it came to an assignment like Judge Motley, I had to do a little bit of research on it, but remembering some incredible footage of her going down south, her bravely confronting racism and hatred and danger, it was like, I have to do her justice. I have to represent in my art something that at least express for myself how much I honor and appreciate what she's done for our country and for the world. It wasn't pressure, it was more like play on the word, do her justice.
On behalf of the 640,000 women and men of the U.S. Postal Service, I am pleased to present the 47th stamp in the Black Heritage Series honoring civil rights pioneer Constance Baker Motley. It's available now at your local post office and USPS.com.